Cool. So let's get started. I love that folks were excited to join and join our first kind of what's new on Pega Launchpad. And so we're going to get rolling. So let me just run through the agenda real quick. I'm just going to quickly run through our panel. We've got a good, team of folks from engineering and the provider success team on to basically talk about, in a discussion format. What's the latest announcements and new capabilities of Launchpad. We're also going to talk a bit about PegaWorld real quick up front, a couple announcements there. And so if you saw the email, we're going to talk about, improving developer experience with AI-powered tools, user personas, and then also our unit estimator, which has been something that's been in high demand with a lot of our providers. And then we'll get into questions at the end. But feel free as you go through to just post questions in the chat, and we'll either answer those throughout or at the end of the session. All right, so I'm Jason Mastrelli. I think a lot of you probably know me. I recognize a lot of you folks, and so again, thanks for joining. I run Launchpad Go-to-Market and our venture team. I'm joined by Frank Apap, who runs the provider success team. And then we have our panelists who are ultimately involved in helping to build and kind of lead the development of the platform, and also help implement these offerings for our clients and providers. And so I've got Pooja in product management, Bhavna from product management, and Sasi from the provider success team. So let's get into it. So first off, we've got PegaWorld coming up in a few weeks, very quickly. So it's June 1st through the 3rd. Hopefully you've all booked your flights and you've registered. If not, go to the PegaWorld website and do that. But we're going to have a bigger presence there this year. We actually secured the same room, but a little bit bigger space. We expanded it due to demand. And so what we're doing is on the Sunday, we've got a session from 1 to 3. So hope you all can join that. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me or Lena, and we can help you out. The other thing is a lot of folks have been asking us over the last year or two about potentially a marketplace offering. So we haven't made a formal announcement about this, but we're gearing up for PegaWorld and looking to basically launch that at PegaWorld, with our initial set of applications. And so really there's an opportunity for a lot of you as providers to be part of that. And so I would say if you're interested, we sent an email out or reach out to Lena and myself to basically get your submissions in by May 15th. All right, so we're going to get into it. So first off is AI-powered expression builder. And Bhavna, love to have you, chat with me a little bit about that. And while we're talking, we'll just run kind of a little bit of demonstration here in the background. But if you could just kind of give a quick overview on what it is, that would be great.
Thank you, Jason. Really excited to be here to talk about the Pega Gen AI powered expression builder. Before I give insight into the new enhancement we have brought, I just want to take a minute to talk about expressions in Launchpad in general. With expressions, you can manipulate data, you can make decisions, you can calculate things dynamically, and you can apply logical or mathematical expressions to build your business logic. All of this is capability of our Pega expression language, which is very powerful, rich feature that allows you to build your complex business logic. We see a tremendous opportunity here by pairing this low-code feature with generative AI. Creating applications, authoring complex business logic becomes much easier, right, for developers if you had an AI assistant. Like AI suggested templates to author and automate the rule authoring with a pure natural language input. With this new feature, as you can see, the expression builder now includes a Pega Gen AI features to help you build and also understand your expression, even without any prior knowledge of our expression language or any training.
Wow, that's awesome. So it seems like for mere mortals like me, I could actually start to write expressions because I certainly can't write in expression language. So I can basically express in natural language what I want, and it looks like it's going to just go ahead and help me build that out. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's
and
awesome.
With this, it will boost developer productivity, Absolutely. It will provide a faster delivery timeline, right? And as I was mentioning earlier, it will shorten your learning curve. Even if you don't know expression language, you can leverage our AI assisted application development.
Cool. Awesome. And my sense is that this is just one example of, kind of AI powered, assisted development. And so, as we talk about this, what are some of the future developments around kind of leveraging Gen AI for development that you're thinking about?
So you're spot on. This is just the beginning, step number one in our journey. We see a lot of these can be extended and brought in for other rule types, other business rules, where you want to validate your application's case data, where you want to apply conditional logic, where you want to build complex scenarios and automate and apply post-processing or pre-processing on your data. So we are continuously advancing towards how we can leverage this and build the AI assistant development across all other role types. I would definitely ask everybody to stay tuned. More will be coming soon on this.
Awesome. That's great. And any other things in terms of takeaways that people should take from the session, in terms of, why it's important, how they can use it, and so on?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that as you can see, it allows you to generate expression rules with just a pure natural language input. It makes a discovery of function library, rules, and usage easier with GenAI. We have some great quotes from early adopters who have adopted. They're very happy. It has significantly provided faster expression rule generation for them rather than them piecemealing it together to write one, right? So I would definitely ask everyone, give this feature a try, and happy to hear your feedback, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Bhavna. And one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is I know we had some registrants that aren't current active Launchpad developers and software companies and providers. So a lot of the stuff may be new, but hopefully you're getting a glimpse of some of the things that we're building in to make it easier for developers to build apps. If you've got questions, feel free to reach out to me directly, and happy to kind of work with you to get access to all this stuff. So great. We're going to move on to user personas. And Pooja, if you can, kind of start off with just a quick overview of what this is and why it's important. That'd be great.
Sure. Thank you, Jason. So, as you know, any Launchpad application is built on three essential pillars, which is the case, light data, and the personas. Now, each persona signifies a user group with a specific access privileges and interaction patterns within the application. So often, providers they need to gather the essential information beyond just the basic first name, last name, and the email, so that they can personalize the experiences and the functionalities for their subscribers. For example, as a bank, I would like to collect a user's age or the lifestyle information before I can offer a relevant credit card to them. The current user data model that we have is limited and it doesn't really allow to define the attributes like manager, skill sets, or age for a user. To accommodate all of this, right now the developers they need to create a wrapper layer around this, which complicates the data model a little bit and also elongates the development cycle. Now, to address this with this new persona feature that we have come up with, you can define the relevant data model of the persona then and there and directly integrate in your workflows or the data model. This will streamline and simplify the app creation to a very good extent and will enable our providers to deliver the applications to subscriber at a much faster pace.
Awesome. That's great. So just so I'm clear and other folks, so this is really for companies that are building apps with Launchpad that they want to take to market. And this is really for them to define the different personas of the users of the apps that they're going to deploy. So for example, if it's an expense app, it might be a manager, it might be a finance team member, or a particular employee who might be submitting expenses. Is that correct?
Yes, of course. And there's a lot that this capability actually unlocks for us beyond just extending the data model. Of course, when you log in here, you can extend the data model of the personas, and the experience is as seamless like you will define it for any case type or data type right now. So it's that seamless for you. You can extend the model, you can reference these models in your existing workflows. And on top of it, the persona as a foundational building block, it unlocks a lot of possibilities for our providers. They can actually go in, build the notion of teams or skill sets. They can define the organizational structure using the manager reporting out there. So there is a lot that can be done, and I'm really excited to see how they're going to leverage the personas in their application.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely see huge value in this. I mean, this, imagine trying to build this from scratch if you were building an application, not on Launchpad, and you had to go build out this whole persona capability integrated with your platform. So, I mean, this saves huge amount of time and also just accelerates things for our existing providers building new applications. So that's great. Thank you so much. All right, next thing is the units calculator. So Sasi, I think you're up, and it'd be great if you can just kind of give us a quick high-level overview, and then we'll get into it.
Sure, Jason. So consider the earlier idea you were discussing about the expense app. Someone has that idea, they want to build that particular idea, and building SaaS ideas includes meticulous planning and doing cost management. So they need to know how much it's going to cost them, keeping aside the development costs. So the units estimator, okay, it's going to explain them how much this particular idea is going to cost you. Okay, and once the estimations are done, they will have a rough idea on how much they might be able to charge the subscriber, or how can they charge the subscriber. In the subsequent phase, once we initiate the development, we do have the preview capability available where they can track how many units are costing to execute a particular thing, like adding an expense, how many units is it costing, etc. Okay, and then once the development is completed and once the subscriber is live, okay, so how many units the subscriber is consuming, how much they need to pay to how much the provider needs to pay, etc. All those details can be tracked over here. Overall, it gives a sense of end-to-end sense of how much it is going to cost the provider as part of estimates during the development, how much it is costing them, and then once the subscriber is live, how much they need to pay based on this cost, based on these units.
This is and nothing to diminish the other two features, which I'm excited about, but I'm like really excited about this one because I'm talking to providers and customers and software companies every day, and this is a question that comes up all the time, right? And so traditionally they go and build on a cloud provider. They have no idea what their application is going to take to run. There's estimators and such, but all the different services, kind of data storage, APIs, network, everything, even Gen AI. Costs, they really have no idea until they get into production. And so what we've done with Launchpad is really, come up with a very simple metric, which we drive, or which we use for consumption and usage monitoring, which is Launchpad units. And those Launchpad units, we've been kind of on this journey for about 1.5 years, really moving to purely this usage-based model. And what I think people are trying to get their heads around is like, okay, great, so I have a contract that gives me, let's say, 5 million units a month. How much work does my app process? And I get the question, and people are like, how much data is it going to consume? And, how much am I going to consume and get a bill from, the underlying infrastructure? I said, no, it's very simple. We have one metric that sits on top of your infrastructure and measures that. And what you've explained, Sasi, is awesome because what you just, kind of walking us through in that demonstration, your overview, is that, as you build your app, you can basically, model that end-to-end outcome and then estimate how much that's going to cost in terms of the number of units. And then based on your contract, so like, at our list price of $2 per 10,000, you can say, okay, it's going to be X number of units for this particular outcome. And that's your price. It's X number of cents per outcome. And then, a huge trend in the market today is around outcome-based pricing. And so this really makes it easy for a provider to start to think about innovative pricing models around driving business outcomes and pricing around that for actually delivering results for their clients and kind of getting work done, which is what a lot of the AI and automation is about today. So sorry for my long rant. I'm just so excited about this feature. So Sasi, I guess how often should people check, their units and their consumption?
Okay, first and foremost, once they have the idea of what is the application they are going to build, they have to generate the blueprint, leverage the blueprint, and check how many units based on the estimate. Okay, blueprint is our powerful tool which gives the end-to-end application, what are all the key steps, etc. They can simply leverage that to understand what is the estimate. Once they start the development, maybe usually the development goes on in phases, MLP1, MLP2, etc. They usually should be checking once in a while in middle, and then once the development of that MLP is completed, they have to again validate how many units it is costing them for running the end-to-end application. That gives a clear overview on what is the current state of the application, how many units it's going to cost them, and how much they can charge the subscriber.
Wow, that's awesome. So, one thing I think maybe we just need to, kind of double click on for folks is that there's really kind of two big pieces of this, right? One is, for a software company that's just getting started with us, or even an existing one that's starting to build out a new capability, or design a new app with Blueprint. Once they get their blueprint, they can basically take that blueprint, upload it in, and estimate, what their app is basically going to be in terms of the number of units. But then also, as they're building their app to take to market, they can be testing and seeing what those units are consuming and kind of what the actuals are as they make changes to their application. Is that right?
Yes, aptly put, Jason. I can't put it better.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So, what happens if the scope of an app changes? So does that impact the number of units, and how do developers and software companies think about that?
Okay. In short, the units are calculated based on the consumption, as you have already explained. Okay, how much data are they reading or how much data are they writing? So if the scope changes, obviously there will be change in units. Okay, so our suggestion is to regularly validate these units during the development phase and once the development is completed to make sure that it's within their assumption or within their point itself.
Okay, which allows them to understand their cost of goods sold, see what their margins are, help them fine tune their pricing, maybe even think about if they build a new feature that's a premium feature, maybe they have a higher tier plan that includes some of those new capabilities, based on a higher cost for a more complex app. It sounds like, right? So this is awesome. I'm really excited about this, and look forward to kind of working with folks, kind of between the sales team and I, working with software companies using Blueprint, getting these estimates, and doing that, and then also as they're running through development, really seeing how they leverage this tool. So that's great. Cool. So we're going to move into Q&A. Frank, you had a comment you want to make?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment around the retesting of changes to your application. It's important to note that while mathematically the formula does change if you add new requirements and stuff, the way we designed the calculation is that it's very not sensitive to small changes. So if you're just adding a few fields, you will see 0 changes to your actual unit usage. If you start adding hundreds or thousands of new fields, or tens of new case types, you will start to see a difference, and we have the tools to let you measure that. But I just wanted to make it clear that very small changes are going to have almost 0, if not 0, impact on your actual unit usage.
That's a big one. Yeah. And what we found, and maybe you can comment on this, is as people have built apps and they're now in production, or they're just starting to go to market, I think that they're really excited about kind of the cost model in terms of the units, because sometimes there's fear of the unknown. And now that we're providing kind of greater visibility and transparency, but also as they start to see what their production app is running, they're like, wow, this is a very, kind of profitable model I can run, and a very powerful platform that allows me to do kind of new and creative things in terms of go to market, in terms of features, capabilities, and so on.
Yep.
Great. Awesome. So should we get into the Q&A?
Do it.
Yep.
All right.
I can see a question came in. How are units translated into numbers? It would be nice if there was an example to refer to.
I can take that. So I'm assuming you're saying numbers, you mean the usage into the unit numbers, and then the unit numbers translate into dollars and cents. The latter part is a little more specific to the contract and the tier at which you're purchasing them. But your usage gets translated into units based on our tracking of consumption. And while it's mostly based on the data going back and forth through the system to your browser, to the database, there are other factors as well as you use features like generative AI. So we don't give the exact formula because honestly, you spend way too much time trying to figure it out. Instead, what we let you do is we let you measure the actions you're doing and the output of the units using the new preview capability that's coming out. That'll give you a better sense of the aggregate usage instead of you trying to fine tune, very, very specific things. Because as I said before, the way we tried to design this formula so that you're not spending time hyper optimizing for individual bytes and kilobytes of data. So what I really recommend is you start with exactly like Sasi said. I call it EMR. You start with an estimate, then you measure, and that's what the new preview capability does, and then you can report on like larger data sets, right? So measuring is like a very specific action. Reporting gives you that aggregate sense of how your application is performing. The combination of the three really should give you the visibility you need. And of course, if it's not, we're happy to dive deeper. But we really want people to be able to just build their app, see how it's performing, use that data to influence their business decisions, and then continue to improve their app.
That really helps, I think. And I think often I'm asked, hey, can you give us the formula for how this converts into data and all these things? And what we try to do is say, look, this really tries to make it easier because we have no minimums per end client, we have no user-based pricing. So some scenarios you might have an application that's got hundreds of thousands of users or even millions of users, but maybe some of those users are low usage, and when the app's at rest, it's not consuming units, right? And so I almost you made me think, Frank, as you were explaining it, that this is almost like active calories on my Apple Watch, right? I don't need to know like how many calories my heart's using and how it's using it and how my food's turning into energy and like all the underlying stuff, but like I know, okay, I exercise a lot in a day, or I'm not active, and that impacts my active calories, right? And so this is like basically the calorie metric for Launchpad.
It's a good analogy, although now it reminds me that I was supposed to exercise today. But
Love it.
Great. Any other questions?
Yes, more questions about unit calculator come in. Will it be right to summarize that if the application has low space and time complexity, the Launchpad units will also be lower in comparison?
Yes, generally, although when you think of space, don't think of storage, think of data transferring, sort of like Jason saying, the active movement of calories as opposed to stored energy in your body. So we don't actually charge for data at rest. So if you created a bunch of cases and then no one uses the app, there's no more unit usage. But in general, apps that have smaller data models and apps that have less back and forth of data and changes of stages and steps will cost a little less than apps that are way more complex. But again, relative to the outcome, because generally those bigger things you do less of. So there's multiple factors to that formula, so you have to look at all dimensions.
Yeah, and I think as I think about two of our software company providers, at two ends of the spectrum, like we've got one that is a very high volume, tens of millions of users, and it's a low value in terms of very simple structure, and so the cost per outcome is very small. But then on the other end of the spectrum, we've got a software company that's built an app that's a very kind of comprehensive. The outcomes are worked over months and weeks. They're a very low usage tool, and so their units are very low on a per transaction basis, but it's a very high value that they're able to charge. And then we've got some others that have kind of somewhere in the middle, where they have lots of complexity and they're able to have kind of an enterprise grade solution that they're charging enterprise grade kind of value. So what I think this does is it opens up the flexibility and opportunity for companies to build whatever they want and then tailor their cost and margin and pricing models really to whatever makes sense for their business. So, Lena, any more?
Excellent. Yes, we have more questions. And next one is about persona. How can we enhance user management capabilities for our subscribers using personas?
Thank you, Lena. That's a good question. As I had explained earlier, the new capability is more like a foundational building block that unlocks a lot of features for us. Now, very soon, our subscribers, they will be able to dynamically onboard users in the application runtime within their workflows itself. Also, we are coming up with the capabilities where they can bulk import these users or update their properties out there. So this persona feature will actually deliver a unified user management experience to our subscribers.
Cool.
Awesome.
Okay, one more question I just saw popped in is, does the AI expression helper have access to my rules or just the platform?
I can take that one. So yeah, as I said, we do provide the knowledge of an expression language data model, not just the platform rules, your app rules as well. It has the entire rules library so that it can provide you the actually valid and perfect expression for your needs.
Yeah, I can add to that. Just yesterday, I was on a live demo with some of our very senior leadership, and I was trying to refer to a configuration set, a configuration value. I couldn't remember the name of it, and I just typed in, find me the configuration for blank, and the expression language syntax to find my app-specific configuration value popped up and made me look really smart. So it was great.
And the product
to
was
hear that.
great as well.
Well, the product too, but I was more interested in how I look.
Okay, so another question I think we sort of answered, but Sasi, can I create different scenarios to check the costs? For example, if it's reporting heavy or processing heavy?
Yes, Lina. So once the application is created as part of the Launchpad units, okay, based on your application or your usage, all the respective units will be tracked. Let's say, if you want to check an application which will be more reporting heavy, where the users will be going to the landing pages or seeing different dashboards, etc. You can create such a scenario, okay, and open multiple pages or come to the reporting again and again, based on which check the timestamp and the respective units will be logged over there. Okay, so you can create such scenarios in a time-bound manner, and in that time, how many units have you lapsed? You can check those units, and that will give you a rough idea of, based on this particular scenario, these many number of units are being consumed.
Cool. Thank you. Another question is about agentic AI capabilities. Does Pega Launchpad provide agentic AI features? Frank, you want to take this?
Sure. It would not be a webinar in 2025 without a question about agentic AI, right?
Right.
We've now officially checked that one off. So right now we don't have a specific agentic AI feature. I am happy to say that we are working on something that is coming very soon. But as many of the people on this call have probably heard me say, one of the strengths of Launchpad is it has a very powerful integration layer. And because of that, people and providers have been using AI capabilities in Launchpad, in their Launchpad apps, for well over a year, well prior to us having any specific AI capabilities in the platform. So I really strongly, want to stress with folks, if you have use cases and applications that benefit from agentic AI, you can work with my team and others to figure out how to get those capabilities in from external interfaces and external tools, which provide a lot of the capabilities you need. Now, we absolutely want to make that easier and a little more plug and play with our actual rule model, and that is coming. we want to make sure we do it the right way, so we're not rushing it out into the market. But if you have use cases, you should absolutely be implementing them today and finding a way to make it happen. And it's, like I said, I would say about 75% of our providers today, and I think 100% of those who have applications with live subscribers are using AI capabilities as we speak. So yeah, that's how I put that.
So Frank, I guess if we can dig into that a little bit more, just to put you on the spot. So my understanding is that provider on Launchpad, whatever they're building today, because of the way that Launchpad is designed, almost automatically prepares them for the next chapter of adding agentic capabilities because of our focus on outcomes and automation and workflow and so on. Is that correct?
It's 100% correct. So without getting too into the weeds of the agentic space, but when agents were initially released, the idea were these autonomous agents where you just sort of said, go do something, and here's a bunch of tools. And very quickly, almost every one of the industry frameworks, so if you've ever played with Crew AI or LangGraph, realized that these, what they call React agents that just react to stimulus and just do stuff, were not really suitable for enterprise, and honestly, not even suitable for most non-enterprise use cases, but definitely for enterprise use cases, because there's just not enough structure and predictability to them. So what emerged was what started to become known as workflow agents. And if you actually look at any of these other tools, they draw pictures that look exactly like the flow diagrams that Pega has been generating for 25 years. So those processes, the stages and steps, created a great framework to insert agentic steps, agentic decisions into an existing process with all the controls and the auditability, the history, the routing to humans, which they'll refer to as human in the loop, right? We've been doing human in the loop for as long as I've been working here, which is about 25 years, right? So yeah, I think, Launchpad in general and Pega's philosophy of case management is very, very well suited to let people introduce agentic capabilities in a controlled and sort of, practical manner.
That's awesome. So like basically apps you're building today are almost like AI agent ready. And then if you want, your team can help folks guide them on how today they can go integrate with some, external tools very easily to kind of unlock some of that potential. And then natively, it sounds like we're adding some things right in, which is going to make it even easier and faster for folks to build those things and really enhance what they've already built as a foundation of their core app.
100%. And while you brought up the agentic stuff, I feel like it's my duty to mention that for everyone on the call, please do not get hung up on words like agentic. Like AI is a tool. There's a spectrum of what's agentic versus just AI, like those terms, and like qualifying yourself in like a very binary sense. Is this agentic or is it not? It really adds very little value. And almost all of these frameworks are becoming very blurry around what's just an AI, LLM call versus what's an agent. What you really want to focus on is, are you making your app easier to use, more valuable to your consumers? Are you gaining productivity? Those are the questions that are important, not is it an agent or not? That's a question that I think.
100% agree. And it's more about the impact that you're delivering with your application for your clients, and it's how you're helping them to reduce costs, deliver greater business value, and so on. So we could do a whole webinar on that. We probably will, but we'll maybe move on to the next question if we've got one.
Sounds good. Back to unit calculator and the unit preview reporting. How does it help us in pricing the subscribers?
Go ahead.
Okay, so unit calculator gives you an estimate of how much usage it's going to cost you based on the subscriber. Okay, now, while coming to the charge you are going to do to the subscriber, it's up to the provider. Do you want to add a surcharge on top of these units and charge the subscriber? Or Do you want to charge them based on a case or per year with a rough amount? That's up to the provider. It's in the hands of the provider. The unit calculator and estimator, they give a sense of how much it is costing the provider itself. How to charge the subscriber, it's in the hands of the provider.
Yep, 100%. And I think that as kind of organizations evolve with using this, they'll evolve their pricing models, and there's lots of different models emerging in the market. Our team is happy to engage in conversations and help in terms of pricing, and we've got some tools around helping you with guidelines. The other thing that's cool about this is that I think a lot of us know about in software, but maybe don't talk about it, is especially within SaaS, is that there's a wide range of user adoption, right? And so as you start to get an app in market for a while, we give you the transparency to see how many units that's consuming at a client level, but also across your portfolio of clients, and the mix of high usage users, low usage users, high usage companies. And then that allows you to start to figure out, oh, maybe I can be more aggressive in my pricing, either up or down, based on those patterns, because maybe I have low adopters that allow me to charge less, that balance it out, right? And so I think that those are things that people often forget because they're sometimes very focused on like the materials for this pen cost me 2 cents, and it always costs 2 cents, but it actually doesn't, because someone else might not use the pen every day and other people use it 20 times a day. And so you can think about how you price based on that. Mana, anything else?
Excellent. Yes, we have one more, I think, Pooja, if you can take this one. In future, will there be the possibility of obtaining the access groups of membership, and so the work baskets, for example, by cycling on the user's data? For example, get work queue by persona.
Absolutely, yes. So right now, with personas, you will have a lot more data available for your users, the logged in users. And using this contextual data, you can do a lot of filtering on your work queues or your reports right now as well. And of course, in the near future, we are also working on some of the capabilities to provide much simpler experience out of the box for the users. So yes, the answer is yes here.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Great. Is that
Just
it, Mana?
Yeah, I think that like wraps it up. There were
Okay.
like there was a comment that like people agree with Frank. Agentic AI is the buzzword currently active in the market. We need to look at the business value. So that would wrap us up.
Awesome.
If you
Awesome. And that's great. And that really, I think, underscores kind of the relationship that this team and the broader team at Launchpad, want to have with, all of you organizations and prospective, software companies building on this and existing ones, is really we're here to help, right? And so we're not, as I often tell people, we're not here to sell you Launchpad or sell you software. We're here to help fuel your business success. And we're going to do that through a market leading platform, new capabilities that we're constantly coming out with the provider success team, business strategy, even we get involved from a ventures perspective. So like we're all in with the organizations working with us, and we're really excited to kind of help you build your businesses with this. And so with that, we'll wrap up. And again, just, some quick next steps. Really encourage you to come to PegWorld, meet us in person, talk with us in person. We've got our session again on Sunday at 1 on June 1st. Easy to remember. But throughout the whole PegWorld, 3 or 4 days, we've got the room, the team's going to be there. Reach out, set meetings up with us. Let's engage. Let's figure out how we can help you, really unlock new value, deliver new solutions to the market. And then in terms of follow-up, we're going to start doing these on a regular basis. And so we're going to send out a follow-up email on this one with a link to the recording, share it with your teams. We're going to post it out on our LinkedIn page. If you're not following the Launchpad.io LinkedIn page, do that, because we're constantly updating in terms of news and what's happening. And then the next webinar is going to be June 26th. A bunch of you have already registered for that, which is fantastic. But spread the word. Let's get more people involved in this community. And with that, we'll wrap it up for the day, and hope you have a great rest of the week. Thank you. Thanks everybody for helping out today.
Thank you.
Yeah.